Hello my wonderful ponies. Today we take a look at the lies spread by desperate Xbox fanatics. I don't know if they lie on purpose or if they really live in such isolation from reality. I don't know. The fact is, they spread lies and mislead people. Today we will take a closer look at some graphics that have been circulating on the internet for a long time. Unfortunately, Microsoft's furniture fanboys post this picture again and again. It means they believe in it or are deliberately trying to mislead other gamers. Before we start, I would like to point out that this material is about Sony and Microsoft and their official solutions on the console market. We are focusing on the PlayStation and Xbox. I have no time for more detailed material, and, as I see, you don't want to watch long videos on this channel. Without further ado, let's move on to the topic of the episode.
History lesson for Xbots.
This time, it started with this tweet. IGN tweeted, an Xbox console experience survey reportedly asked Series X and S owners if they wish their controller had features found in PS5's DualSense, which include haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. In other words, Microsoft is asking their fans, should we copy DualSense features? Nomura115 commented, Microsoft copying Sony since forever, which automatically triggered some Xbox fanboy who posted this dumb picture. Okay, let's take a closer look at the first picture. I assume this text is intended to imitate Pony's comments. The picture says, a hard drive, lol, the Xbox is a computer. Enjoy playing Microsoft Word and spreadsheets. I remember exactly what it was like. The original Xbox was indeed a PC. Back then, consoles didn't use PC components. The consoles used their own technologies, often developed only for those consoles. But let's back to the original Xbox. It was a console that drew heavily from PCs, and in those days it was indeed a bad omen. And the hard drive. Sorry but no, PS2 could use hard drives. Okay. The next one. The second picture tries to support the incorrect thesis from the first picture. So again, PlayStation 2 had hard drive support before the first Xbox hit the market. The next two pictures try to say that there was no online multiplayer on PlayStation until 2006. Dear Xbots, I have bad news for you. PlayStation 2 is coming again. Here, we see an RJ45 plug, also known as a network plug. And as you probably guessed, here you could plug in an internet cable and play online games. As you can see, on PlayStation 2, already in 2002 you could play online games, and even massive multiplayer online RPG. And this game had crossplay, which Xbox didn't have until the Xbox One generation. Probably, the author of this picture doesn't know that the PlayStation 1 controller was called DualShock because it had built-in vibrations. In 1997, when Xbox didn't exist yet, Sony released their first DualShock controller, which not only offered vibration, but improved stereo vibrations. Later, Microsoft copied this. By the way, in 1996, Sony revealed the first controller with 2 analog sticks. How would you play your beloved Halo or other FPS games with just 1 analog stick if Xbox hadn't copied it from Sony? Next. What's this? Calling Nintendo for help? But yes, that's right, Nintendo was first. The only platform that still doesn't have any motion controllers is... Yes, you guessed. It's Xbox. Really? Wait, you consider a different button shape an innovation? Did you know that it was Sony that made these buttons standard? Before PlayStation, Nintendo, and Sega only had R and L buttons. There was no R2 and L2. The buttons under the analogs, L3 and R3, are Sony's too. But back to the triggers. How are the triggers in the current generation? Which triggers are loved by everyone? Those in the Xbox Series L controller? Or perhaps those in the PS5 controller? Is Microsoft, by any chance, going to copy this from Sony? The Kinect was a cheeky copy of the iToy. iToy was a popular camera for PlayStation 2. And I had one myself. I even still have it somewhere.
Welcome to the world of iToy. Now you're probably raring to get going with it, but if you haven't played games using iToy before, there's just a few things you need to know to help you get the most fun out of it. It's really very simple. The only other things you'll need are a console, a TV, and, yes, a player. Ah, yes, you'll do fine. Now, first plug the iToy USB camera into either of the 2 USB connectors on your console. Then, place the camera in the middle of your TV, either below or immediately above it. Just stand back 1.5 to 2 meters. That's better. You need to make sure that your image is in the center of the screen. If it is not, gently tilt the camera up or down until it is. There's no need to move the whole camera. If you're a little blurry, you can adjust the focus by rotating the manual focus ring on the camera. Now, most important, you must stand out clearly on the screen, so arrange the lighting so that you are not too bright or too dark. But don't worry, a red light on the camera will come on if you are too dark. So, just make yourself a little brighter. Now, you are ready to play. There is no controller in iToy. You are the controls. That's right. Just move your arms, your head, or any part of your body. But obviously, make sure you have enough room to play. Now, if you should need to stop the game, just place your hand right in front of the camera.
Naturally, iToy also came out before Kinect. Of course, Kinect was an improved version of iToy because it came out a whole generation later. Here, I would just like to remind you bots that Microsoft has not won a single console generation. It's funny to see bots trying to find a W in the Red Ring generation, when the fact is that Sony's worst score in gaming is higher than Microsoft's best score ever. Also, it is Sony's platform, not Microsoft's, that carries the title of best-selling console in history. Bravo! You finally found something that was first on Xbox. But hey, do you realize you've had to pay for it? since 2006, when others started paying in 2013? Are you sure this is a W? 4 controllers. I don't know how to say it. Maybe I'll just show it. On screen you see Crash Team Racing video footage. Released for the first PlayStation console, PlayStation 1. Here we see 4 players mode. I wonder how many controllers they use to play this game. And, with 2 multi-taps, you could even connect up to 8 controllers to the PS1 or PS2. PlayStation 3, on the other hand, supported not 4, but up to 7 wireless controllers, without any additional accessories. So, as you can see, being able to connect 4 controllers didn't impress anyone at the time. Even the 4 ports for controllers in the console were not an Xbox idea. We saw this earlier in Dreamcast console. Poor bots, no W again. The only cool thing Microsoft brought to gaming are achievements, which indeed Sony copied later. Today, most Xbots regret that Microsoft invented achievements, because achievements have become the perfect tool to expose the non-gamers, who are the vast majority of Xbots. Another pathetic lie, repeated over and over by Xbots, but also by some media, is that PlayStation copied Game Pass. This is an obvious lie. Let's check how it was for real. In reality, the first services that offered digital access to games library for a monthly fee was Gaikai and On Live service. Gaikai, despite being founded a year earlier, the On Live is considered the first service of its kind, because Gaikai never left beta status. So, as you can see, neither Sony nor Microsoft was a pioneer in this matter. If we consider the console market, the things are different. In 2010, Sony entered into a partnership with Gaikai. In 2012, Sony acquired Gaikai. In 2014, Sony launched the PlayStation Now service. In 2015, Sony bought all the patents of the On Live service, which of course resulted in the disappearance of this service. In 2017, Microsoft launched Game Pass. 2014 versus 2017. Numbers not lying. And it is obvious who was copying who. Nowadays, the main difference between these services is that Sony gives you access to more games for a better price, and Microsoft has better advertising. So why doesn't Sony invest more in promoting the service? Because Sony has a different strategy. Xbox as a console is dying. No reasonable person doubts that. Microsoft knows it too. That's why Microsoft has bet everything on Game Pass. Xbox is no longer a platform for them. It's now just a tool to pay for subscriptions. Game Pass will soon be on every possible platform. I can bet that Phil is dreaming about Game Pass on PlayStation. Microsoft no longer cares about the Xbox console. For them, in gaming, the most important product is Game Pass. Sony is taking the opposite approach. For Sony, PlayStation Now is just an add-on, an additional source of earnings. Still, for Sony, the most important thing is to sell games and consoles. Sony is one of the last publishers who produce high-budget games. And, of course, they need to sell them. And they know well that the sense of producing high-budget games is only if the gamer makes the choice which game to buy. Because, if the gamer gets your game along with hundreds of others, there's no point in going above the average and spending more effort and money to produce a game. For Microsoft in gaming, Game Pass is to be or not to be, and they need to bet on a powerful promotion of this service. That's why they pay whoever they can to promote this crap. At the end, one more thing in the copying department. Before the Xbox came on the market, Sega and Nintendo consoles ruled the market. The two companies had a similar but little bit different strategies. Nintendo had products dedicated to children, while Sega's target was arcade machine lovers, teenagers who like fast-paced arcade games. But in general, both companies' products were dedicated to kids, but at different age. And then, suddenly, Sony came with a completely different ideology. Sony understood two things. First, gamers are not eternal children or eternal teenagers. Gamers mature, become adults, and want to keep playing games. Second, no matter what age category is your target, the money for games always are adult money. These two things led to the conclusion that the target of the console must be older gamers, and even if the game is dedicated to the youngest, should also be good for adult gamers. This strategy has worked brilliantly, and PlayStation has been an overwhelming success. And then Xbox came. Guess whose strategy Microsoft copied? Was this a Nintendo strategy? No. Maybe they copied Sega's strategy? Nope. The answer is obvious. They ineptly copied PlayStation's strategy. In other words, if anyone tells you that PlayStation copied something from Xbox, remind them that Xbox has been trying to copy PlayStation for over 20 years.